Welcome back to the podcast. We're starting the year with a bang, and I'm excited to reveal our first guest for 2024. A visionary artist responsible for the iconic floating off-grid complex known as Freedom Cove, situated off the west coast of Canada. Our chat with Catherine King dives into her history, the history of Freedom Cove, and many other extraordinary and exciting topics. Listen in and get transported to a small slice of Canada and learn about off-grid communities from a stalwart of off-grid living.
Hey guys, welcome to the podcast today. Today we have someone really special, Catherine, who lives in probably one of the most unique properties in the world. Catherine and her late husband Wayne basically built an island on water, which is pretty crazy. So, and we think it's probably one of the only ones in the world. So, Catherine, tell us a bit about yourself and this adventure you and Wayne have been on over the years.
Shall I go back to the beginning and tell you how we started and why we started?
Yeah, tell us how you ended up off-grid on an island in the middle of Vancouver.
Okay, so Wayne and I met in 1987, and we actually met on Lesquiti Island, which is an island off of the east coast of Vancouver Island. And it was a very cosmic meeting, you might say. I was living in Toronto at the time. I was asked to come to Lesquiti to give a workshop, and one of Wayne's best friends was taking my workshop. And when his friend met me, he said, "This is the perfect woman for my friend Wayne." So that night, he had no telephone that night. He literally went out to the sky and said, "Wayne, come to Lesquiti." And the next day, Wayne showed up. And Wayne and I walked and talked for 3 days, and we knew that we were meant to be together. So I went back to Toronto. We talked about, okay, we'll take a year for me to shut everything down there. Well, when I went back, every day kept telling me, no, go now. So after 2 weeks, I called him and I said, "I'm going to come now." He said, "Okay, come now." So I went. At that time, he was living in Victoria on Vancouver Island and had created a unique structure from a garage on his parents' property, which was his home. And so that's where we initially lived. Our coming together brought into his life a wonderful friend of mine who's an art agent. And she saw Wayne's work, and she knew that she knew a man in Toronto who would want to collect Wayne's work. So she connected them, and he purchased 10 years worth of Wayne's work, which meant that we had to deliver the work to him because much of the work was quite large. So we bought a small RV and we traveled across Canada to Ontario, delivered the work, and we realized that this was a once in a lifetime that we were going to have this amount of money all together at once. So let's keep going, and let's go all the way around North America and see if we can find the spot where we want to live off grid. Because in our conversations in our first few days, we both discussed that and said that we both had a dream to do that. So that's what we did. We went right out to the east coast of Canada, down the east coast of the US, across the bottom, up the west coast, came back to Vancouver Island and said, "You know what? There's no other place to do this than here." And so as soon as we got back, a friend of Wayne's from Tofino called and said, "I need a couple of workers up here. Are you and Catherine interested?" We said, "Sure." So we moved up to Tofino, and that was our foot in the door to the Northwest Coast. As we started talking to people, we began to realize that in living out, we wanted to float. And we wanted to float because you can be in nature without interfering in it. So that summer, we had a friend who had a cabin out in Cypress Bay, 10 miles north and east of Tofino. We exchanged. He stayed in our apartment and we stayed in his cabin. And during our time there, we explored the area and we found Freedom Cove. It isn't named Freedom Cove, but on the map, but locally it's known as that, which was totally appropriate for us. It had its own water supply, which comes from an old lake, which was very important. And it was about as protected as you can be from storms. The next thing that happened was that a summer storm actually blew in all the wood that started the building of our house. We gathered all the wood up and took it to the man we thought it belonged to. And he said, "You've gathered it up, it's yours." So Wayne said, "All right then." And he started the building of our place right there on the beach. And it took him 3 months to get it to a point where it could be moved and floated into the cove. He kept working on it. So by February 1992, so this was the summer of 1991. So by February 1992, we had it moved into the cove and we moved out. We moved out in the middle of the winter. Very crazy, but that's what we did. And the first thing that we had to do was get the water supply hooked up. So Wayne had piping, PVP piping that he had recycled from the fish farms, and he was able to hook the water up. And it was like a cascade coming from an old lake, and he was able to pipe that over to our system so that we would have running water. And when we first came, all we had was the house with a log in front, and the house was half of the size that it is now. So those were our beginnings. And then as time went on, I'm a dancer. I needed a place to move. So the next important thing was to have a floating platform that I could dance on. So that's the next thing we built. And I knew that I wanted to grow my own food. And so I started with the salad garden. We got Wayne would get piles of materials. So we would beach comb, and the fish farms in those days had a big discard pile, and they were happy for us to take anything we wanted from there because that meant they didn't have to get rid of it. So we just gathered piles of material, and then Wayne would look at the piles and say, "Okay, this is what we can make from this." And as we were able to do that and create other floats, then my garden was able to expand, and then it just kept expanding. So everything had to keep expanding. As I started to learn about how to garden out here, because the water is underneath us and adds an extra coolness. When plants were beginning in the spring, they needed extra protection. So I realized that I had to have greenhouses. So again, the greenhouses, as the garden evolved, started with one greenhouse, then two, then three. Now I've got 4 greenhouses. And I start everything from seed in the house in the early spring under lights, then move them out to the greenhouses, and then pull them out as they're ready to be outside and as the year warms up. And then in the winter, pull things back in that need to be pulled in. And then I have winter variety plants that can stay out because we are a temperate rainforest, even though we are challenged at different times, like now. But the but the adventure just kept evolving and kept growing, and it really, as I said, is a big installation art piece. And When we got systems from the fish farms, they were metal, and the metal is very durable. And Wayne would say it's like a big Meccano set, because you can unlink the sections. They're like octagonal shapes. And so we can transform our shape as we wanted to and as we need to. And we can still do that. So it makes it an ongoing creative project as well as a practical project. And you learn each year what's going to make it more durable. Every winter teaches you something new and different.
Yeah.
So here we are.
So what sort of temperatures it gets down in the winter there?
So as you know, the climate on the planet is changing quite a bit. So it's not a steady answer I can give you, but I can tell you this winter, with this cold snap we've had, it actually went down with wind factor. It went down to -10, -15 out here. And that is really cold when you're on the water, because then you have the dampness to deal with as well. And the cove freezes all around me when it's that cold. Not hard enough that you could walk on it, but it hard enough that a motorboat has to break through it if you want to go anywhere.
Yeah. Interesting.
Yeah.
So for those that are listening, how explain, so you've got all different structures over, so you've got like little pontoons, we'll say, that are all different parts of your house. So you've got the area you call your house, and you've got your art gallery, your dance studio. So tell us a bit about all the other because if you can see the picture, if you're at home listening, it looks like a little village on an island, but this is just all your house.
Yes, we've created our own floating island because of all the different components we have. We still have my dance floor, which doubles wonderfully as a place to dock. And we have our own floating beach. We have 2 floating boat garages. We have our floating woodshed. We have the 4 floating greenhouses. And we have our building beside the house, which has our Go Green water purification system in it, the house itself, and then a guest building, and the man cave power building, we call it, where we have our generators and have had our solar panels over the years. Yeah.
Yeah. So with your solar system, how big of a system do you guys actually have there?
So again, our solar system was recycled. It was already 20 years old when we got it. And so we've always had to work it with the generator and with the time of year when we have sun. So in the summers, we have, I guess there's only maybe 6 panels and a couple of batteries, and that allows us in the summer to be off the generator for the whole day and into the early evening, providing us with lights in the house and the ability to use the internet and our carving machines. So that's what it's been. Now, those solar panels have just broken down. So when I build the new house, then I will get a new solar system.
Yep. Exciting. So crazy, 6 solar panels, I think. So with that there, I know one of the things you guys really look for is that gravity feed water. So then that takes away an energy load there, because you don't need a water pump, which is great.
Yes.
It's one of the biggest things we deal with here in Australia. A lot of customers want to put in batteries and solar to be self-sufficient, because a lot of rural areas in Australia, the minute you lose power, you can't flush the toilet. So because there's a lot of the rural places, it's the water pump, because they're not on town's mains, they need to pump the water. So when they've lost power, they can't flush the toilet or any of that sort of stuff because their water pump doesn't work. So a lot of people out here install batteries and solar for that reason, just really to be able to go to the toilet when the power's out on the network. So
Right.
So with such a small solar system, and so how do you guys fuel most of your cooking?
Propane. So I have a propane stove, and then of course we have our wood stove. Even in the summer, we often have to light the wood stove in the morning, and it's a really great backup. So if I ever ran out of propane or couldn't get propane, I can actually cook on the wood stove.
Yeah. Okay, great. So how hot does it get there in summer?
So it can get hot. We have rare days where it could be 30 to 32 Celsius. Most of the time it would average between 20 and 27 usually.
Yeah, okay, great. Yeah, it's just those sort of days make it hard to turn the fireplace on, doesn't it? It's just to use fire for cooking.
Yes. So we have those few rare days where I don't have to light the wood stove. And the way Wayne designed the house on a hot day, the main level is pleasantly cool. So we've always had that when it's been too hot.
Yeah. Oh, great. And so the other thing I found interesting is you guys have your own candle factory and make your own candles.
Yes. So we're both carvers, and we carve in the mineralized ivories as well as stone and wood. And for what we always wanted was for anyone who couldn't afford a carving, which again, we've always done a lot of barter and trade with our carvings too, and make it as affordable as possible. But we thought, why don't we make molds of our carvings and turn them into beeswax candles? And then that way everyone could have one of our carving designs for little cost. We started that, I guess, about 11 years ago, maybe 13 years ago. And something else that's just evolved here is people coming out for tours. And again, we never planned that, but people just started to want to come out and see our place. And then from there, tours evolved. So whenever we have tours, we have given a beeswax candle to people as a gift. We let them pick whichever design they would like, which makes us feel good as well.
Awesome. That's great. So in winter, when it's struggling for energy, do you guys use a lot of candlelight to get you through the winter?
No, so we use our generator in the winter time, so that keeps everything going.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Interesting. And so how hard is it to get services to get the propane and get the fuel out to where you guys are at?
Yeah, so Tofino is the nearest village. It's 10 miles from us by water. It takes us in our smaller motorboat about a half hour to get in. If we're taking our big skiff, it takes an hour. It goes more slowly. So town trips are usually done every couple of weeks. In the winter time, because of stormy weather, it can be challenging. And we actually went one winter where it was 3 months before we could get into town. So wintertime, it can be challenging to travel, even though that doesn't seem like a long distance on the water, because you are going out on the ocean and it is ocean storm weather.
It's crazy. So is it any way to get close to you guys, like with a vehicle, or is it like on land, or is it boat access only?
No, boat access only.
There you go. So I take it the mail comes by plane.
Yes, just we have the stork fly over and drop it down.
Yeah.
We're able to get our mail into Fino as well. We have a PO box there.
Yeah, cool. Wow. So I think, going off grid's it's a challenge in itself, let alone what you guys have done out there. So what would you consider the biggest challenge you've had over the years living this sort of lifestyle?
Well, weather has definitely been one of the greatest challenges. And prior to the internet joined us in 2013, but prior to that, we didn't have internet. So the only communication that we had with the outside world was our boat radio. And so for 20 years, in order to communicate with family and friends, I wrote letters. And so that was the greatest challenge, is keeping in connection and communication with those who love us and wanted to be in touch with us. What we would have to do in those days every 2 weeks or every month, we had a friend in town who would let us use their phone so we could call people. So we would phone when we would go to town that way. So those would be the big challenges. Wayne and I are people, even though we live out. And as I said, the world has eventually come to us. So even though we're living in an isolated lifestyle, we're not isolated, because people keep in touch with us now, especially with the internet, and the world knows all about us.
Yep. No, definitely. So you definitely take some challenges on there. So and what's probably been what's the most inspiring thing, or the best thing you've had happen over the years of living this sort of lifestyle?
Well, I think I can just simply say our reason for coming out here is because we were both artists inspired by nature, and we wanted to live in nature and experience it and add to it. So I would say that it's an ongoing inspiration from the beautiful nature around us, all the creatures around us. We have our regulars in the cove. We have a regular heron, our regular eagles, our regular crow family, our regular raven family. They know us and we know them. And so we've all become part of each other. It's wonderful in the spring when trees I have in my floating garden, you see nests there, the swallows nest here, little wrens and sparrows nest here. So that, that's great inspiration in itself. Being able to see the bears walk on the beach all around us when we have low tide, you can walk all around and never be bothered by us, and us never be bothered by them, because we've never left any smells out to draw them over. They're quite nearsighted, so if they don't smell anything, they won't come over. So we've had that wonderful experience to be able to observe them just living their lives, being who they are. We've had lone wolves come in and just watch us for a while, and we just watch them. That's just so amazing. We have deer come on shore and just sit and chew their cud and do their thing in the day and know they're safe and can just be with us. And So these are all inspirational moments that give me life force every day. I wake up every day just so grateful and so thankful to be able to live here.
Yeah, I think it's one thing with today's modern lifestyle that it's hard to get the time to sit and watch and experience and just enjoy nature. And it'd be pretty amazing to sit there and watch wolves and deer and just bear. Some things mostly that you'd normally see if you're on the same side of the land with them, you'd want to run.
Yes. Yes.
So,
Exactly.
yeah. So interesting. So yeah. So okay, cool. So mate, yeah. So tell us a bit about you before we're discussing about with connecting with the outside world. Now you're actually helping others in Nigeria to do what you've done. So tell us a bit more about that project.
Yes. So about 3 weeks ago, I was contacted by a lovely man from Nigeria who is acting as a mediator for the slum dwellers in Lagos, Nigeria. They have been fishermen for generations upon generations and live in shacks on stilts in the water. And the government is not happy with how that looks. And so essentially wants all of them to move, which would mean that they would have no livelihood. So the mediator saw one of our videos and thought, wouldn't it be something if we could take the design that we have and build that for these people so they could have an aesthetic lifestyle to look at and one that functions practically for them to be able to live and continue their lives as fishermen. So I've had 3 meetings with him, and the government has seen a couple of videos on us through him giving them access to that, and they have come on board and they have said that they will agree for the homes to be built in the design of our whole floating island system we've created here. So that is just such a wonderful feeling for me to think that I can help thousands of people continue on living their lives and be happy and possibly more comfortable through following the design that we've laid out. So they will actually come here in April, a committee, and see our place in person. And then they're going to go ahead and start the building.
Mate, that's so exciting. So
yes, very exciting.
yeah.
It makes me feel really good.
Yeah, where I live in Australia, it's a flood-prone town, and I think maybe we should start thinking about more living on floating houses.
Right.
So
Right.
with the caravan park here, which is right in the middle of the floods, it's interesting. They've like the manager's cabin, they've just put big pontoons underneath the bottom of the cabin and chained it down, so when the floods come, it just floats and comes back down. So great concept. So,
Perfect. Yes.
So
Yes. That's exactly how our place is designed. We're tied into shore with big ropes, and Wayne designed it so the house could go up and down with the tides, because at lowest tide, we actually do sit on the bottom and then we come back up. Yeah.
Interesting. So there you go.
Yes.
How often do you have to replace those ropes?
We've actually never had to replace the ropes. They're huge. They're big, huge. Again, ropes that we got from the fish farm industry, and they're extremely durable. Extremely durable. Yeah.
And so most of this bill, because I know a lot of people that want to go off grid, and it's normally a big cost factor is sort of what the challenge for most people, especially buying land. I've been doing a lot of research, helping a few people buy land all over the world at the moment. One of our team wants to. She actually wants to move to Edmonton, around that area, and so we've been looking at land costs there in Dominican Republic and all over Australia. But going off grid, a lot of people, the cost of land is one of a big challenge. So, and financially, sort of a lot of people say I can't do it because of financials. And so, tell us a bit more how you guys made this happen, because it's majority of your property is built from reclaimed or recycled materials. Is that right?
Yes, that's correct. Yes, because we have been, and our artists always living on a very minimal income. And in fact, when we decided that we were moving out here, we got an extra push because our rent was going up in Tofino, and we were realizing we weren't going to be able to afford that. So from the very beginning, we started with recycled materials. The storm that blew in the wood to start the building of the house was that initial recycling. And we were given a sign from the universe that was the way to go. So when you live out here, you have access to beachcombing. We would spend time many times a week just going out, looking around, seeing what has been blown ashore. And the rule is, if it's out there blown ashore and you get it, it's yours. So Wayne would create a pile, and when the pile got large enough, have a look at it and say, okay, I can build this from that and that from this. And okay, here we go. This is what we can do. And then another thing we had access to in the beginning was the fish farms out here had big discard piles of things that they weren't going to use at all. So we asked their permission to be able to take some of those things, and they said absolutely. So the whole metal floating platforms that we have now came from their discard pile.
Yeah.
So that made us feel good too, because we were creating something good from a fish farm situation and putting it to good purpose.
Yeah. Repurposing something, or either set in a pile or end up in landfill somewhere else, and just filled a hole in the ground, basically.
Yes. So that's how we've been able to do it with minimal money, and we carry on that way.
It's pretty cool. You literally just sit and wait for your new house to just blow in. You sort of put it together.
Yeah, I'm putting that thought out. If it happened the first time, why shouldn't it happen the second?
Yeah, so interesting. So what's the most unique thing, or something that's blown in you guys have found that the universe has sent you through the waters?
Oh, okay. Let me think about that. Well, I guess I can't say there's really just one thing. There, we have found metal platforms on the beaches. We have found big floats, big plastic floats that they have used to be underneath their systems that have metal frames on them. So we've been able to use those. We have found entire logs that have broken away from log booms. When we find those, we try to take those back to where they belong. Very unique and different shapes of driftwoods that have become part of our whole aesthetics. Ropes of all different shapes and sizes, and rope is extremely valuable out here. So that's a really good thing to find. Giant buoys to help with floats and boats. And yeah, I think that about covers it, of all the different things. Glass balls, we found glass balls at different times and added them into the aesthetics here. Yeah.
Awesome. No treasure maps in a bottle or genies in a bottle or anything like that?
Yeah, we did find a bottle one time many years ago, and there was a piece of paper in it, but it wasn't anything particularly romantic or or somebody calling out for help.
Oh, there you go. Okay, so good stuff. So yeah, mate, to tell us a bit about the especially the isolation and being out there, you know, by yourself for long periods of time. Like the mental challenges over the years has probably been a real struggle. What's something you guys have done to deal with that?
Yeah. So when we first moved out here, and as I say, see, you have to remember this was before internet. So you couldn't just, turn on your iPad and have somebody give you company. We went through what I call the deceleration process, because when you're living in a city or a town, you have instant access, instant gratification. If you are out of something, you go to the store and get it. If you want to watch something, you turn on your internet or your TV. If you need something immediately, materials, whatever you need, you just go out and you purchase it. So when you come out here, the initial challenge is that everything is slower. Everything takes longer. Everything you have to do and create yourself. So you have to decelerate to come back down to that rhythm, which is the rhythm of the moon and the tide, the rhythm of nature. You have to come into the rhythm of nature. So that's your first challenge. And once you get there, then it's a challenge going back out. Every time you go even into Tofino, which is a very small village, it challenges you because everything is faster there. Everything is louder. Everything is mentally more stimulating. So whenever you go to town and you come back, you go, whew, good. Thank goodness that town day is over. So that's your initial challenge. Then both Wayne and I have always done pretty well with being alone, because we are artists, so we always have creative projects. And then when you're homesteading, you have regular chores you have to do every day just to survive. And you're always busy doing those chores. So actually the days go too quickly. There's too much to get done in a day. And now that Wayne has passed away, I have double those chores and things to do. So there isn't much time to be sitting and thinking that you are alone. And
Yep.
I make sure to take nature in every day. I have 2 chihuahuas that need stimulation. So we go out for paddles in the canoe a couple of times each day, as long as it's not storming. And I love that. I love going with them. I love being how they are, just sitting, paddling, being quiet, just stopping, being still in the water, taking in all the nature around us. There are 2 seals in the cove that always follow us when we go out. So I enjoy them following us and just watching them as they're watching us. I just pause and I look at the trees. I look at the rocks. I look at the water. I just go into it. It's just so beautiful. And it's just so peaceful and comforting to take that in. So that's part of what I do every day and how I have mentally and emotionally managed and coped. Nature heals, and nature has certainly been healing me. It's been 10 months, 2 days ago, since I lost Wayne, and I lost my mother 8 months ago. And I have really needed the healing forces that have been around me, and they have not failed me.
So like we talked about before, is off-grid's a challenge with a team of people around you, let alone doing it by yourself. What in the situation you're at the moment. My dogs, if your dogs are anything like mine, they're not too helpful. And helping with chores.
Yeah, that's right.
So
yes.
good at creating more things to do. So
Yes.
And so recently, so you guys are doing like a like tours. People can come out, and can people come stay at the house and check it out, or tell us a bit more about that?
I don't have people. I'm not open for people to come to stay here. I have tours, and so people are welcome to come at any time of the year. But of course, usually people want to come when the weather is more pleasant. So once we get to May, there starts to be a flow of tours, not every day, but a few times a week. There are a couple of companies in Tofino that are whale watching companies or bear watching companies or nature companies that include us on their program, and bring people out for tours. When people come, it takes about 45 minutes to an hour. With their time out here, I walk them around the whole system, and I explain to them everything that we do, how everything functions, who we are, why we do it. And it's really wonderful to see people inspired. By the time they leave, they have a big smile on their face, and they go back out into the world with that visual aesthetic experience of having been here. And we have always had an open door policy because we want to inspire people to follow their own dreams, whatever those are. And I feel good because over the years, I do hear back from people who have pursued their own off-grid lifestyle, having been inspired by having seen what we've done. And that makes me feel good.
Yeah, as it is, like with what I do, it's, the money, whatever. It's the best feeling when someone calls up and say, hey, I've done this because of information you gave me, and you can't put a price on that. So
yes, that's right. That's right. And
definitely,
and I am looking, because I realize I'm going to be 68 in April. I'm strong and healthy. But of course, as time goes on, I will need a bit of help. So I am looking for the right couple of people, or a team of people who could change each other up, who would want to join me out here at some point. But I'm really taking my time to look for the right people.
Yeah. No, definitely. So if someone was at home thinking about going off grid and, delivering on their own dreams, what would a bit of advice you'd give someone to make it happen, what they want to do?
So first of all, I would say educate yourself, expand your thoughts, expand your thinking, expand your skills. You need to have skills that allow you to be able to build, allow you to be able to repair, allow you to be able to think on the spot, create from what you have in front of you. You have to be able to follow the learning by doing way of going about life. And you really have to know yourself. You have to want to work with yourself. You have to love yourself. You have to have a positive attitude about approaching life. And you have to believe that you can do what you want to do. If you choose to live an off-grid lifestyle, you are relying on yourself. And so you have to count on that.
Yep. Now, thank you. Yeah, it's definitely good advice. Now, this for me is one of the big things that I think about a lot. You know, like I'm early 40s, my age, and I think about, okay, well, this is going to happen the next 10 years. I want to build my forever home, my dream home, and it's just like, well, it's a lot of work, you know. So I think it would to me, I really want to build a community and get involved in the community, because I think, you know, as together you get the right people together, it makes, you know, living together a lot easier. One of the biggest things, we live in the middle of town right now. We're the only house in the middle of 7 acres in the middle of town. We live in a dry rainforest. So you would think, like, literally, yeah, looking at the front door of my house right now, there's trees, the back door's trees, we're completely surrounded. But yeah, the hospital's like 300 meters from my house. You know, so and shopping center, like, yeah, it's all so close. But one of the biggest challenges for us, like, we even live here, is like going away with getting the animals looked after, you know, like chickens, and maintaining things and all that sort of stuff. So that's why I'm really looking forward in the next 10 years to go, right, well, I want to be involved in the community, because community just makes it easier. Just, well, as long as you've got right systems in place, you can leave and someone's going to look after the chickens and the animals, and you've got a team of people together doing it. So maybe you can, some people can build some floating dwellings out towards you. Have a floating village out there. So, by the looks of, this here, it actually looks like a little village. So it's pretty crazy. I thought your dance pad was a helicopter landing pad, you know?
Yes,
when I
everybody thinks that.
So must be pretty amazing to get out there and just dance and be on that spot there and do what you do love.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the best place I've ever danced. And we've had to replace that dance floor. I think this is the 4th rebuild of it due to storms, but this one is holding strong. So I think we've got it right this time.
Awesome. So, so definitely. Well, mate, when you're ready to design your solar system, let me know. I can help you do some design work, and can definitely help you out with that there. I'll help you get off the propane and the petrol all year round.
Yes.
So I probably wouldn't be all year, but yeah. So
I would love that input. I absolutely would. I want to be state of the art with the off grid. So in creating my new home, I would welcome that very much.
So I was just thinking, a lot of people I'm talking to at the moment, they're designing off grid, and electric cars is a big thing. For you guys, it'd be electric boat.
Yes, actually, we have had a really small electric boat for a number of years. That motor has now not functioning, but Wayne got great pleasure out of tiddling around in it in the cove.
Yeah.
So
totally.
Again, I'd be totally open to electric boats in the future too.
Yeah. So no, that's it. So very exciting. Well, mate, thank you. I really appreciate your time. Is there anything you'd like to leave on for anyone at home thinking about living this dream? That anything else you'd like to leave them with?
I guess just in closing, I want to say to everyone, if you have the desire to live off grid, follow your dreams, believe in your dreams, and know you can do it. And more than any other time on the planet needs that from us. And the planet needs us to work with community-minded thinking. And working together to support and help each other from the heart.
Yeah. No, definitely. It's good advice. So thank you. Thank you. So, but well, thank you. Really appreciate your time. And yeah, hope people get out of this and get some inspiration. And we might see some islands built all over the world, Nigeria to start with.
That's right. That's right. And if it's all right with you, I'll keep in touch with you over email as I'm approaching working on my new home and get some of your ideas.
Definitely. We'll help you out there. So,
okay.
Awesome.
Thank you very much, Mike. It's been a pleasure.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed this episode and found the content educational and inspiring. If you got something out of it and you think you know someone else that would actually also enjoy it, we'd really appreciate if you could share the link with them and encourage them to check out our channel. And don't forget, you can join the Off Grid Tribe podcast for free, where you can actually ask and interact with myself and also our guest speakers. So jump over today to offgridtribe.com, register yourself an account where you can actually have a conversation with myself and one of our guest speakers, and we can continue the conversation there. Together, let's embrace the power of sustainable living.